Captain Vroon Tazark of the Galactic Dominion vessel. Inevitable conquest was having what humans might call a day. Not a good day, not a bad day, just a day. The kind of day where nothing goes catastrophically wrong, but nothing goes particularly right, either. Status report, he grumbled, settling into his command chair with a squelch. His gelatinous posterior formed a perfect mold against the specially designed seat, a small comfort in an otherwise uncomfortable situation. "All system nominal, Captain," replied Lieutenant Plex, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she monitored the ship's diagnostics. "We are approaching the Sol system as scheduled. ETA to Earth orbit, 6 standard hours." Vroon made a gurgling sound that passed for a sigh among his species. Wonderful. Another primitive world to catalogue and conquer. "I'm sure this one will be just as boring as the last 12. The bridge crew chuckled appreciatively. After all, it was expected. When the captain made what approximated a joke, you laughed. That was just how hierarchy worked in the Dominion. "What do we know about these? What are they called again?" Vroon asked, waving one of his upper appendages dismissively. "Humans, sir," offered Science Officer Krill. Unlike most of the bridge crew, Krill was a Methuselan, a species known for their exceptional memory and annoying precision. Bipedal mammals, carbon-based, average lifespan of approximately 80 Earth years. Technologically capable but pre-FTL, they have managed to reach their own moon and send rudimentary probes to neighboring planets, but nothing beyond their solar system. Vroon yawned, displaying 4 rows of perfectly conical teeth. "Sounds absolutely thrilling. Threat assessment? Minimal to non-existent, Captain." Security Chief Grax rumbled from his station. The hulking Pteridian looked like he could crush a human skull between his thumb and forefinger, which he probably could. Their weapons are chemical propellant-based, with limited nuclear capabilities, nothing that could penetrate our shields. Their military forces are fragmented by national boundaries, no unified planetary defense system. "Perfect," Vroon said, straightening up slightly. "Standard procedure, then. We will take a few specimens for the Dominion's xenobiology archives, extract whatever resources seem worthwhile, and move on. Any questions?" Commander Ziva, his second-in-command, cleared her throat. "Sir, preliminary scans suggest humans might be more resilient than our initial reports indicate." Vroon snorted. "Resilient? What does that even mean, Commander? Do they bounce when you drop them?" More dutiful laughter from the bridge crew. "No, sir," Ziva continued, ignoring the joke. "But historical data shows they have an unusual capacity for adaptation and resistance when threatened. The Dominion's Xenopsychology Division suggests we exercise some caution." "Noted and ignored, Commander," Vroon said with a dismissive flick of his upper appendage. "We have conquered 37 species across 12 galaxies. I think we can handle a bunch of primitive mammals who haven't even figured out how to travel faster than light." Ziva looked like she wanted to say more but thought better of it. Smart move. Vroon wasn't known for his patience with subordinates who questioned his judgment. "Sir," Lieutenant Plex interrupted, "we are receiving a transmission from Earth. They have detected our approach." Vroon straightened up, genuinely surprised. "Already? That's unexpected. They shouldn't have sensors capable of detecting us at this distance." "Apparently they do, sir," Plex replied. "The transmission is audio only, originating from something called NASA. Should I put it through?" "Might as well," Vroon said, settling back. "Let's hear what these humans have to say before we ruin their day." The bridge speakers crackled to life. "Unknown spacecraft. This is NASA Mission Control. You are approaching Earth-restricted aerospace. Identify yourself and state your intentions." The voice was calm, professional, with no hint of panic or fear. Vroon found that annoying. Primitives should sound scared when encountering superior technology. "Open a channel," he ordered, straightening his command sash. "Let's introduce ourselves." Plex nodded, pressing a sequence of gelatinous buttons. "Channel open, sir." Rune cleared his throat, which for his species involved a disturbing ripple across his entire upper torso. Attention, Earth vessel. This is Captain Rune Tazark of the Galactic Dominion ship, Inevitable Conquest. Your planet has been selected for resource extraction and specimen collection. Resistance is futile but expected. Please try to keep casualties to a minimum. It makes the paperwork so much easier. There was a long pause before the response came. Captain Tazark, this is Mission Director Eliza Morgan. We request peaceful contact and cultural exchange instead of whatever it is you are proposing. Rune blinked all 6 eyes simultaneously, a sign of amusement among his kind. Cultural exchange. How quaint. I'm afraid that's not how the Dominion operates, Director Morgan. We take what we want. It's simpler that way. Perhaps we could negotiate, the human suggested. Negotiate? With pre-FTL primitives? Rune laughed, a sound like bubbles popping in mud. What could you possibly offer that we couldn't simply take? Another pause. Rune imagined the humans frantically discussing options in their primitive control room. Captain, Morgan's voice returned, sounding remarkably composed. We are sending you coordinates for a meeting site. One representative from our planet will be there to discuss terms. We ask that you bring no more than 3 representatives of your own. Rune glanced at Commander Ziva, who looked as surprised as he felt. And why would we agree to this? Because, Morgan replied, if you are as advanced as you claim, gathering information before extraction would be the logical approach. Our representative can provide valuable insights about Earth's resources that might not be apparent from scans. Rune had to admit, the human had a point. The Dominion valued efficiency above all else. Going in blind would be wasteful. Very well, he conceded. We will meet your representative. Send the coordinates. Transmitting now, Morgan replied. Our representative will be there in 6 hours. The transmission ended. Sir, Ziva ventured. Is this wise? It could be a trap. Rune waved her concern away. A trap? From primitives? Please, Commander. What could they possibly do to us? Our personal shields alone can withstand their most powerful weapons. Still, Grax rumbled from his security station. Protocol suggests a full threat assessment before direct contact. Fine, Rune conceded. Run your assessments, but I'm telling you, these humans are no threat. I will lead the landing party myself, with you, Grax, and Science Officer Krill. Let's see what these humans have to say before we start harvesting their planet. 6 hours later, the Inevitable Conquest settled into orbit around Earth. The coordinates provided by NASA indicated a remote location in what the humans called Nevada, a desert region sparsely populated and far from major cities. Perfect, Rune commented as they prepared to teleport to the surface. At least they had the sense to choose somewhere isolated. Less chance of causing a panic among the general population, or less chance of witnesses, Grax grumbled, checking his disruptor for the 3rd time. Oh, relax, Rune said. This will be quick and boring. We will humor their representative, collect some preliminary data, and then proceed with extraction as planned. The teleportation process took mere seconds. One moment they were in the ship's teleportation chamber. The next they were standing on Earth's surface, surrounded by desert and scrubby vegetation under a bright blue sky. Atmospheric composition within acceptable parameters, Krill noted, consulting his handheld scanner. Gravity slightly higher than Dominion standard, but within tolerance. Temperature, warm but not uncomfortable. Fascinating, Rune said, not meaning it at all. Where's this representative they promised us? As if on cue, a plume of dust appeared on the horizon. It grew larger as something approached, a ground vehicle of some kind, moving at considerable speed across the desert floor. Primitive transportation, Rune sniffed. They couldn't even send an air vehicle. The ground vehicle, what humans called a jeep, skidded to a halt about 20 meters away. A cloud of dust billowed around it, gradually settling to reveal a single figure climbing out. The human was male, average height and build for the species according to Krill's hushed commentary. He wore simple clothing, faded blue pants, a plain black top, and something on his feet that Vroom later learned were called boots. Nothing about him seemed particularly impressive or threatening. "That's their representative?" Vroom muttered. "I was expecting at least a group of their leaders or scientists." The human approached with a steady gait, showing no sign of fear or awe. This irritated Vroom immediately. Primitives were supposed to be intimidated by advanced species. "Hello," the human said simply when he reached conversational distance. "My name is Jack Thorne." "Captain Vroom Tazark," Vroom replied stiffly. "This is Security Chief Grax and Science Officer Krill. You are the Earth representative?" The human nodded. "I am." "And your credentials?" Vroom pressed. "Are you a leader, a diplomat, a scientist?" Jack Thorne shrugged. "I'm just a guy they sent to talk to you." Vroom blinked rapidly, a sign of confusion in his species. "Just a guy? What does that mean? What position do you hold?" "None that would impress you," Thorne replied calmly. "But I'm authorized to speak for Earth in this matter." Vroom exchanged glances with his companions. This was not going according to protocol at all. The Dominion was used to dealing with planetary leaders, or at least high-ranking officials. "Very well, Jack Thorne," Vroom said, trying to regain his composure. "Your leaders were warned of our intentions. We are here to extract resources and collect specimens. Your cooperation will make this process more efficient." Thorne nodded thoughtfully. "And if we don't cooperate, then we proceed without your cooperation," Vroom said simply. "The outcome remains the same. Your planet will be harvested." "I see," Thorne said. He looked around at the desert landscape, squinting against the sun. "Nice day, isn't it?" Vroom blinked again, thrown off by the non sequitur. "The atmospheric conditions are irrelevant to our discussion." "Maybe," Thorne conceded. "But it might be relevant to know what you are planning to take from our planet." "Water," Krill interjected. "Minerals, biological samples, the usual resources the Dominion harvests." "And people?" Thorne asked. "Your captain mentioned specimens." "A standard sampling of your species," Krill confirmed. "Around 10,000 individuals of varied genetic backgrounds, for study and preservation." Thorne's expression didn't change, but something in his posture shifted slightly. "That's not going to work for us." Vroom made the gurgling laugh again. "I don't think you understand, human. This isn't a negotiation. We are simply informing you of what will happen." "No," Thorne said quietly. "I don't think you understand. We are not going to let you take our people or our resources." "Let us?" Vroom repeated incredulously. "Your species doesn't have the technology to stop us." "Technology isn't everything," Thorne replied. Rex stepped forward, towering over the human. "Your primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your militaries are divided and uncoordinated. Your resistance would be futile." Thorne looked up at the massive security chief without flinching. "Maybe, but we'd resist anyway." "Why?" Vroom demanded, genuinely curious. "Why fight when you know you will lose?" "It's what we do," Thorne said with a small shrug. "Humans don't like bullies." "Bullies?" Vroom sputtered. "We are the Galactic Dominion. We have conquered 37 species across 12 galaxies. 38 if you count the Arcturians," Krill added helpfully. "We don't count the Arcturians," Vroom snapped. "They surrendered before we even landed." He turned back to Thorne. "The point is, we are not bullies. We are conquerors. It's the natural order of things." "Not to us," Thorne said. "To us, you are just another bunch of aliens who think they can push us around because they have better toys." Vroom felt his patience wearing thin. "This conversation is becoming circular and unproductive. We came to collect preliminary data, not debate philosophy with a primitive." "Then ask your questions," Thorne said. "I will tell you what I can." For the next hour, at Krill's insistence, they questioned Thorne about Earth's resources, population centers, and defense capabilities. The human answered honestly as far as Vroon could tell, though there was something about his demeanor that remained unsettling. "One last question," Krill said finally. "Our scans detected unusual radiation patterns in several locations around your planet. What can you tell us about those?" "Nuclear weapons," Thorne said simply. "About 13,000 of them scattered across different countries. Primitive fission and fusion devices," Krill noted. "Dangerous to your own ecosystem, but no threat to our ships." "Probably not," Thorne agreed. "But if you start taking people, those weapons won't be aimed at your ships." "What do you mean?" Vroon asked. "They will be aimed at each other," Thorne explained. "If aliens start abducting humans, we won't go quietly, and some nations might decide it's better to destroy everything than let you take it." "You would destroy your own planet?" Grax rumbled, disbelief evident in his tone. "We might," Thorne said. "Humans can be very spiteful when cornered." Vroon studied the human carefully. "You are bluffing." "Maybe," Thorne said with a slight smile. "Want to find out?" Before Vroon could respond, his communication device buzzed. "Excuse me," he said, stepping away to answer. "Captain Tazark here." "Captain," came Commander Ziva's voice, sounding uncharacteristically tense. "We are detecting multiple launches from the planet's surface, primitive satellites and what appear to be weaponized platforms entering orbit." "What?" Vroon hissed. "They are launching an attack?" "Not exactly, sir," Ziva replied. "They are establishing a defensive perimeter in orbit. And, sir, we are now detecting over 50 additional human spacecraft approaching from behind their moon." "They were hiding there, sir." Vroon whirled to face Thorne. "What is the meaning of this? You are launching an attack while we are conducting peaceful discussions." "No attack," Thorne said calmly. "Just making sure everyone knows where we stand. Those ships were already in place before you arrived. We have been expecting visitors for a while now." "Impossible," Vroon sputtered. "Your species is pre-FTL. You don't have the technology to detect our approach from interstellar distances." "We didn't need to," Thorne explained. "We intercepted Dominion communications years ago. We have been preparing ever since." "Intercepted our—" "But how?" Krill asked, scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "We listen," Thorne said simply. "We are very good at listening and adapting." Vroon's communication device buzzed again. "What now?" he snapped. "Sir," Ziva's voice was now definitely anxious. "We are detecting energy signatures inconsistent with their known technology. Some of their orbital platforms are emitting radiation patterns similar to— Sir, they are similar to Zilvaxian phase disruptors." "That's impossible," Vroon said flatly. "The Zilvaxians were conquered 3 centuries ago. Their technology was restricted to Dominion military use only. Nevertheless, sir, the signatures are unmistakable. And, sir, they are powering up." Vroon turned slowly back to Thorne, seeing the human in a new light. "What game are you playing, human? How did you acquire Zilvaxian technology?" "I told you," Thorne said. "We adapt, we learn. When pieces of alien tech crash land on our planet, and it happens more often than you'd think, we study them, reverse engineer them, improve them." "Sir," Ziva's voice came again, now with unmistakable alarm. "More ships are emerging from behind their gas giant. I count over 200 vessels of varying sizes. Sir, we are being surrounded." For the first time since arriving on this backwater planet, Captain Vroon Tazark felt a flicker of uncertainty. "This is unexpected," he admitted. "That's us," Thorne said with a small smile. Full of surprises, Vroon straightened his command sash, trying to project confidence he no longer felt. "Even so, human, your technology is still inferior to ours. Your ships, even with stolen technology, are no match for a Dominion battlecruiser." "Probably not," Thorne agreed readily. "In a fair fight you'd probably win." "Then why this show of force?" Rax demanded. "To demonstrate that it wouldn't be a fair fight," Thorne explained. "It would be messy, costly. You'd win Eventually, maybe, but you'd pay a price you weren't expecting to pay. You can't seriously believe your species could stand against the Dominion, Rune said. Maybe not, Thorn conceded. But here's the thing about humans, Captain Tizak. We don't have to win. We just have to make winning so painful for you that you decide it's not worth it. Rune stared at the human, reassessing everything he thought he knew about this species. You are supposed to be primitive. Pre-FTL. Divided. We are pre-FTL. Thorn confirmed. For now, we are divided, in many ways. But weak. He shook his head. That's where you made your mistake. Humans aren't weak. We are survivors. Adapters. We take what others create and make it better. We learn from everyone we meet, and we absolutely hate being told what we can and can't do. Captain, Ziva's voice came again. The human ships are maintaining position, but their weapons remain powered. They are waiting for something. Your order. Rune considered his options. The mission parameters had changed significantly. What was supposed to be a routine resource extraction from a primitive planet had become something else entirely. You planned this, he accused Thorn. This meeting was a distraction while your forces mobilized. Not exactly, Thorn replied. The forces were already mobilized. This meeting was a courtesy, a chance for you to reconsider your approach. And if we don't, Grax growled, if we proceed with extraction as planned, then we fight, Thorn said simply. We fight with everything we have. We fight dirty. We fight when we should surrender. We fight when all logic says we should stop fighting. That's what humans do, especially when someone threatens to take our people against their will. Rune studied the human carefully. There was no bravado in his stance, no empty threat in his words. Just a calm statement of fact. It was disturbing. Captain, Krill said quietly, perhaps a strategic reassessment is in order. The Xenop Psychology Division did warn us about human resilience and adaptability. You want me to retreat? Rune hissed. Before a pre-FTL species? Not retreat, Krill suggested. A tactical withdrawal for consultation with Dominion Command. This situation has parameters outside our mission briefing. Rune hated to admit it. But the science officer had a point. The Dominion valued efficiency above all. An extraction that required fighting through hundreds of ships. Even inferior ones would not be efficient, especially if the humans were indeed willing to destroy their own world rather than submit. Very well, he said finally. Human Jack Thorn, I will consult with my superiors regarding this unexpected development. Our mission parameters may require adjustment. Smart move, Thorn said. While you are consulting, I suggest you look up what happened to the last group of aliens who tried to push humans around. The ones you call the Krevlaxians. We call them the Roswell incident. Rune's 6 eyes widened simultaneously. The Krevlaxians? But they disappeared 3 of your Earth centuries ago. Their last reported heading was... Yeah, Thorn said. We will need time to verify this information, Rune said stiffly. Take all the time you need, Thorn replied. We are not going anywhere. This is our home. Rune signaled to his companions. We will return to our ship now. This conversation is not over, human. I didn't think it was, Thorn said. But next time, maybe come to talk first. Instead of announcing your intention to kidnap thousands of our people, it sets a bad tone for diplomatic relations. The Dominion does not engage in diplomatic relations with primitive species. Rune stated automatically, though even to his own hearing the words sounded hollow now. Then the Dominion needs to update its policies, Thorn suggested. Because this primitive species just forced you to rethink your approach. Rune had no good response to that. Prepare for teleportation, he ordered his companions, deliberately turning his back on the human. As the teleportation sequence initiated, Rune heard Thorn's last words. Oh, and Captain, next time you scan for our technology, look deeper. You missed a lot on your first pass. Back on the bridge of the inevitable conquest, Vroom found himself facing an unprecedented situation. The view screen showed hundreds of human vessels in defensive formation around their planet. Most were primitive by Dominion standards, but sensor scans confirmed Ziva's report. Some were indeed equipped with technology that should have been far beyond human capability. "How is this possible?" he demanded of no one in particular. "They are supposed to be pre-FTL primitives." "Sir," Krill ventured, "the humans claim about the Krevelaxians. I have checked our historical records. The Krevelaxian scouting fleet did indeed vanish in this Sector 3 Earth centuries ago. The Dominion assumed they encountered a natural disaster or spatial anomaly. You are suggesting these humans destroyed a Krevelaxian fleet? Impossible." "Not destroyed, perhaps," Krill suggested. "The human used the term Roswell incident. According to intercepted Earth transmissions, this refers to a crash of what they termed a UFO, an unidentified flying object. They may have captured Krevelaxian technology after downing one of their ships, and reverse-engineered it," Vroom finished, remembering Thorne's words. "They adapt, they learn." "Sir," Ziva interrupted, "I'm receiving a transmission from Dominion Command. They are not pleased with our preliminary report." "I imagine not," Vroom muttered. "Put it through to my private chamber. I need to explain how a routine extraction became a potential interspecies incident." As he left the bridge, Vroom couldn't help but replay Thorne's words in his mind. He wasn't supposed to fight back, he murmured to himself. None of them were, but they did anyway. Perhaps, just perhaps, the Dominion's assessment of primitive species needed updating, starting with these, human. Completely unacceptable. Grand Admiral Quex's holographic image flickered with static that somehow emphasized his fury. "You allowed a single human to outmaneuver you." Captain Vroom Tazark stood at rigid attention in his private communication chamber, all 6 eyes focused straight ahead. The gelatinous sacs along his neck pulsed with anxiety. "Grand Admiral, the situation was unexpected. The humans have technology that shouldn't be possible given their development level. They have somehow acquired and adapted." "I read your report, Captain," Quex interrupted, his tentacular facial appendages writhing with displeasure. "Stolen technology, hidden fleets, nuclear suicide threats. Do you realize how absurd this sounds?" Vroom struggled to maintain his composure. "I witnessed it personally, sir. The human representative knew about the Krevelaxians. They called it the Roswell incident. Our historical records confirm. I don't care what some primitive backwater species calls anything." Quex's holographic image loomed larger. "The Dominion does not retreat. The Dominion does not negotiate with pre-FTL species, and Dominion captains do not allow themselves to be intimidated by bipedal mammals who have barely figured out how to leave their own atmosphere. With respect, sir, they have done considerably more than that." Vroom countered, immediately regretting his tone. "I mean, the evidence suggests you have been deceived by primitive trickery," Quex said, dismissively. "A simple psychological ploy. They sensed your weakness and exploited it." Vroom's neck sacs deflated slightly. "Sir, our sensors confirmed. Sensors can be fooled, Captain, especially by someone who doesn't want to properly calibrate them." The implication was clear. Quex believed Vroom's crew, or worse, Vroom himself, had somehow bungled the mission. "Your orders, Grand Admiral?" Vroom asked stiffly. Quex's holographic eyes narrowed. "You will proceed with the extraction as originally planned. You will demonstrate the consequence of defying the Dominion, and you will send me 10,000 human specimens as proof of your success. And if they resist as threatened, then crush their resistance," Quake said, as if explaining something to a particularly slow child. "That's what the Dominion does, Captain. We don't cower because primitives make threats." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Vroom alone in the darkened chamber. For several moments he stood motionless, considering his options. They were Unfortunately, limited. When he returned to the bridge, the senior staff looked at him expectantly. Dominion Command has ordered us to proceed with extraction as planned, he announced, without preamble. Commander Ziva's expression shifted subtly. Sir, given what we have observed, those are our orders, Commander. Vroon cut her off. Prepare extraction protocols. Target major population centers for specimen collection. Weapon systems on standby. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. It was Krill who finally spoke. Captain, may I suggest a preliminary test? Before committing to full extraction operations, Vroon turned to the science officer. Explain. If the humans truly have advanced defensive capabilities, we should verify their range and effectiveness. I propose a targeted strike on an uninhabited area, perhaps their moon. It would allow us to gauge their response without immediate escalation. Vroon considered this. Technically, it wasn't disobeying orders, merely a tactical precaution. Very well. Target their lunar outpost with a single plasma burst. Minimal power, just enough to disable their communications array. Yes, sir, Rax responded, programming the weapons system. Target acquired. Firing. A low hum vibrated through the ship as the ventral plasma cannon discharged a focused energy beam toward the lunar surface. Impact in 3, 2, 1. Rax counted down. The beam never reached its target. Halfway between the inevitable conquest and the moon, the plasma burst collided with an invisible barrier, dispersing in a spectacular display of energy. What happened? Vroon demanded. Some kind of energy shield, Krill reported, studying his console. But there's no visible generator. The technology signature is, sir, it's similar to Phoberon defense screens. The Phoberons have been extinct for millennia, Vroon muttered. How could humans possibly? Sir, Lieutenant Plex interrupted. We are being hailed by the lunar outpost. Put it through, Vroon ordered. A human face appeared on the main view screen. Female, with dark skin and close-cropped hair. She wore what appeared to be a uniform with insignia Vroon didn't recognize. Dominion vessel, she began without introduction. This is Commander Maya Winters of Lunar Defense Base Alpha. That was your only warning shot. The next hostile action will receive a proportional response. Vroon stepped forward. This is Captain Tazark. Your primitive outpost cannot possibly threaten a Dominion battlecruiser. Commander Winters smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Perhaps you should check your long-range sensors, Captain. Vroon glanced at Ziva, who was already studying her console. Her eyes widened. Captain, she said quietly, we are detecting energy buildup in 6 locations across their lunar surface. Weapon signatures consistent with Tarasan pulse cannons. That's impossible, Vroon hissed. The Tarasans were assimilated generations ago. Nevertheless, Ziva replied, the signatures match our database perfectly. Vroon turned back to the view screen. How did you acquire this technology? As Jack probably told you, we are good at finding things and making them better, Winters replied. When parts of the universe fall into our backyard, we don't waste them. Commander Winters, Vroon said, trying a different approach. Surely we can reach an accommodation. The Dominion offers protection to cooperative species. Protection from what? Winters asked. From you? No thanks. We prefer to protect ourselves. Sir, Krill interjected, may I ask the commander a scientific question? Vroon nodded reluctantly. Krill stepped forward. Commander, our records show humans haven't achieved faster-than-light travel. Yet you have clearly mastered technologies from species across the galaxy. How have you managed this apparent contradiction? Winters considered the question. We prioritize differently. Most species rush to the stars before they are ready. We focused on understanding the universe before trying to conquer it. Interesting approach, Krill mused. We thought so, Winters replied. Now, Captain Tazark, I suggest you reconsider your extraction plans. They won't end well for anyone. The Dominion does not respond to threats, Vroon stated automatically. This isn't a threat, Winters corrected. It's a prediction based on available data. Ask your science officer if you don't believe me. All eyes turned to Krill, who shifted uncomfortably. Based on observed capabilities, any attempt at forced extraction would indeed result in significant casualties on both sides. The view screen flickered as another face appeared beside Winter's Jack Thorne. Captain Tazark, Thorne greeted, as casual as if they were continuing their desert conversation. I see you have met Commander Winters. Has your chat with the higher-ups gone well? The Dominion's position remains unchanged, Vroon stated, though with noticeably less conviction than before. That's unfortunate, Thorne said, because our position has actually improved since we last spoke. Meaning what exactly? Vroon demanded. Meaning we have activated a few more of our defensive systems. Check your long-range scans of Jupiter and Saturn. Ziva was already on it. Sir, she reported, voice tense, we are detecting massive energy signatures emanating from the gas giants, some sort of orbital platforms. We call them gas mining stations, Thorne explained. Very useful for collecting resources. The energy they generate can be repurposed for defensive applications if needed. You are bluffing, Vroon said, but even he could hear the uncertainty in his voice. Would you like a demonstration? Winters asked. We could target an asteroid in the belt. Show you what happens when we redirect that energy. Before Vroon could respond, Security Chief Grax spoke up. Captain, I recommend against requesting a demonstration. If their capabilities are as advertised, it would be tactically unwise to provoke a display. Vroon glared at his security chief, but couldn't argue with the logic. What do you want? He asked the humans finally. The same thing we wanted before, Thorne said. To be left alone. No extractions, no specimens, no resource harvesting without consent and compensation. The Dominion doesn't negotiate with pre-FTL species. Yes, you have mentioned that, Thorne interrupted. But here's the thing, Captain. You are not negotiating with a pre-FTL species. You are negotiating with a species that has pieces of technology from dozens of spacefaring civilizations, adapted and improved upon. You are negotiating with a species that apparently destroyed or captured a Krevlaxian fleet, when we were still using sailing ships and muskets. What does that tell you about us? Vroon had no good answer. Sir, Commander Ziva said quietly, I recommend we consider an alternative approach. Vroon turned away from the screen, lowering his voice. My orders are clear, Commander. With respect, sir, Ziva countered. Orders are based on available information. The information has changed dramatically. Grand Admiral Quex believes this is all a bluff. And if it isn't, Ziva pressed. If we initiate extraction and trigger a full-scale defensive response, the inevitable conquest is a formidable vessel. But we are just one ship. That was the crux of the problem. If the humans were bluffing, proceeding with extraction would fulfill his orders and likely advance his career. If they weren't bluffing, well, the inevitable conquest might not live up to its name. Vroon turned back to the view screen. I need to consult with my crew. We will contact you with our decision. Take your time, Thorne said. But not too much time. Our patience has limits. The transmission ended. Options, Vroon demanded, looking around at his senior staff. Proceed with extraction as ordered, Grax suggested. If they are bluffing, we succeed. If not, we fight. Request reinforcements before proceeding, Ziva countered. If their capabilities are genuine, one battle cruiser may be insufficient. Temporary withdrawal to reassess, Krill offered. We could return with a scientific expedition rather than an extraction force. Learn more before committing to action. Vroon considered each option. None were ideal. All risked his career or worse. Sir, Lieutenant Plex interrupted his thoughts. We are receiving another transmission. It's from Dominion Command. Again? Put it through to my private chamber, Vroon ordered. But instead of routing to his chamber, Grand Admiral Quex's image appeared on the main view screen, visible to the entire bridge crew. Captain Tazark, Quex began without preamble. I have reviewed the sensor data you transmitted. The situation has been reassessed. Rune blinked all 6 eyes in surprise. Sir, you are to withdraw from the Sol system immediately. Return to Dominion space for debriefing. Withdraw. But your orders have been superseded, Quex interrupted sharply. The analysis division has confirmed that the technology signatures detected in the Sol system match multiple extinct or conquered species. The implications are concerning. So you believe the humans have actually acquired this technology? Rune asked, unable to keep the vindication from his voice. Quex's facial tentacles writhed with irritation. What I believe is irrelevant. The potential risk outweighs the potential gain from this extraction. The Dominion Council has designated Sol a Category 7 system. A murmur ran through the bridge crew. Category 7 meant approach with extreme caution. Extraction prohibited without Council approval. Understood, Grand Admiral, Rune said, straightening. We will withdraw immediately. See that you do. And Tazark? This conversation never happened. Your mission report will state that you encountered unexpected resistance and made a tactical decision to withdraw for reinforcements. The Category 7 designation will come from Analysis Division, not your recommendation. In other words, Rune would neither be blamed for retreating nor credited for discovering a potentially dangerous new species. Typical Dominion politics. Yes, Grand Admiral, Rune replied stiffly. The transmission ended. For a moment, no one on the bridge spoke. Then Commander Ziva cleared her throat. Orders, Captain. Rune squared his shoulders. Prepare to leave orbit. Set course for Dominion space. Should we inform the humans of our departure? Krill asked. Rune considered this. Yes. Open a channel to their lunar base. Moments later, Commander Winters appeared on screen. Jack Thorne standing beside her. Captain Tazark, Winters acknowledged. Have you reached a decision? We have, Rune confirmed. The inevitable conquest will be departing your system. The Galactic Dominion has reassessed the situation. Thorne and Winters exchanged a glance. Just like that? Thorne asked skeptically. The Dominion's interests are elsewhere at present, Rune said, sticking to the face-saving script. Your system has been categorized as low priority for resource extraction. I see, Winters said, clearly not believing a word. And will other Dominion vessels be making similar assessments in the future? Your system has been designated Category 7, Rune admitted, seeing no reason to hide this. No extraction will be permitted without Council approval. And what exactly does Category 7 mean in Dominion terminology? Thorne asked. Krill answered before Rune could stop him. It means potentially dangerous. Approach with caution. The designation is typically reserved for systems with unstable stellar conditions or highly advanced, but unpredictable species. I'm flattered, Thorne said with a small smile. You are saying we scared you. The Dominion doesn't get scared, Rune stated automatically. We make strategic assessments based on risk-reward calculations. Of course, Winters said, matching his formal tone. And your calculations determined that the risk of engaging with Earth outweighed the potential rewards. That is an accurate summary, Rune conceded. Well then, Thorne said, I guess this is goodbye, Captain Tazark. It's been educational. Before we depart, Krill interjected. May I ask one final question? Winters nodded. Go ahead. The technology you have displayed Phoberon shields, Tarasan weapons, possibly others, they are from species scattered across multiple galaxies. Some have been extinct for millennia. How did you acquire them all? Thorne and Winters exchanged another glance. We didn't find them all here, Thorne admitted. We went looking. But you don't have FTL capability, Rune protested. Your ships couldn't possibly... We don't have FTL ships, Winters corrected. That doesn't mean we haven't traveled between stars. A chill ran through Vroom's gelatinous form. "What are you saying?" "We found a shortcut," Thorn explained. "Or rather, it found us. About 300 years ago, something opened on the dark side of our moon. A tear in space, a gateway, a natural wormhole." Krill asked, scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "Not natural," Winters said. "Constructed, by whom we don't know. But it connected to similar gateways throughout the galaxy. Some active, some dormant. We have been exploring through them ever since. But that would mean—" Rune's voice trailed off as implications cascaded through his mind. "That we have been out there among the stars for centuries, picking up pieces of technology, learning, adapting, all while staying officially pre-FTL at home," Thorn finished for him. "Yes, that's exactly what it means. Why reveal this now?" Ziva asked. "If you have kept this secret for centuries, because it's time the Dominion understood that the old categories don't work anymore," Winters said. "The galaxy is more connected than you think. And because," Thorn added, "the next Dominion ship that comes looking for specimens might not get a polite warning." Rune absorbed this information with growing unease. If the humans were telling the truth and the evidence suggested they were, then the Dominion's entire system of categorizing and approaching new species was fundamentally flawed. "I will include this information in my report," Vroom said carefully. "I'm sure you will," Thorn replied. "Safe travels, Captain Tazar." The transmission ended. Rune turned to his bridge crew, all of whom were watching him expectantly. "Set course for Dominion space. Maximum velocity," he ordered, "and prepare a detailed mission report. Category 7 designation confirmed." As the inevitable conquest broke orbit and accelerated away from Earth, Rune retreated to his private quarters. The encounter had shaken his confidence in ways he couldn't quite articulate. A notification chimed on his personal console. A message from Krill marked scientific analysis priority. Rune opened it, scanning the contents quickly. Based on observed technology signatures and historical data, Krill had written, "I have compiled a list of extinct or conquered species whose technology appears to be in human possession. Most concerning is the pattern. Krevlaxians, Phoberons, Taurusans, Zilvaxians, all species who, like the Dominion, practiced non-consensual extraction and specimen collection from worlds they encountered. None of these species exist as independent entities anymore. The implications are unsettling." Rune closed the message, a heavy feeling settling in his digestive sacs. He had always believed in the Dominion's approach. Take what you want from lesser species, study them, use their resources. It was the natural order of things. The strong consumed the weak. But what if the weak weren't actually weak? What if they were simply patient, adaptive, learning from each encounter, gathering strength in secret? What if the Dominion's entire approach was creating its own worst enemies? Rune pushed these uncomfortable thoughts aside. Such philosophical questions were beyond his rank. His job was to follow orders, complete missions, advance through the hierarchy. Still, as the inevitable conquest accelerated to FTL velocity, leaving the Sol system behind, Vroom found himself hoping that Grand Admiral Quex would take the Category 7 designation seriously, for the Dominion's sake, if not for the human. 6 months later, Vroom found himself reassigned to administrative duties in the Dominion's Central Archives, a convenient sidelining after the failed Earth extraction mission. The official record stated that Captain Tizark had made a tactical withdrawal after encountering unexpected resistance, pending reinforcements that were deemed unnecessary after Analysis Division designated Sol a Category 7 system. No mention was made of gateways between stars, or humans collecting technology from extinct species, or the disturbing pattern Krill had identified. Such information might raise too many questions about Dominion policies. Rune had accepted his fate with as much dignity as possible. Administrative work was boring but safe. No chance of encountering another species that refused to behave according to their technological category. Until the day a priority alert flashed across every screen in the archives. A Dominion fleet, 5 battle cruisers, including the flagship Inevitable Victory, had gone missing in the Cygnus sector. Their last transmission reported encountering an unmarked vessel of unknown configuration. The vessel had transmitted a single message before communications were lost. "We told you the next ship wouldn't get a polite warning." The message was in perfect Dominion standard, but the signal carrier wave matched no known species in Dominion records. Except one, a pre-FTL species from a backwater planet called Earth. As the archives erupted into chaos around him, Rune sat motionless at his console. He should have felt shocked, horrified, outraged. Instead, he felt an emotion rare among his species: resignation. The humans had warned them. He had warned Grand Admiral Quex. The Dominion, in its arrogance, had chosen not to listen. "They weren't supposed to fight back," Rune murmured to the empty air. "But they did anyway, and now we are paying the price." In the vast darkness of space, far from Dominion sensors, a gateway shimmered into existence. A small fleet of ships emerged, bearing markings unfamiliar to most of the galaxy. At their center was a vessel larger than the rest, its hull composed of materials and technologies gathered from a dozen extinct civilizations. On its bridge stood Commander Maya Winters and Jack Thorne, now bearing the insignia of Earth's United Defense Force. "Another successful test," Winters noted, reviewing the data on her console. "The Dominion received our message. Think they will take the hint this time?" Thorne asked, gazing at the starfield through the main view screen. "If they are smart, they will," Winters replied. "If not," she shrugged. "We have spent 3 centuries preparing for species like them. We can spend a few more if necessary." And the Gateway Network. Expansion continues as planned. 3 new connections established this month alone. Thorne nodded thoughtfully. "You know, that Dominion Captain Tazaki wasn't so bad. Just following orders, trapped in a system that couldn't adapt." "Unlike us," Winters said, with a small smile. "Unlike us," Thorne agreed. "Adaptation is what we do best." As the Earth fleet prepared to return through the gateway, Thorne found himself wondering what Captain Vroom Tazak was doing now. Had he learned from their encounter? Had the Dominion? Probably not, he decided. Empires rarely changed until they had no choice. But humans changed all the time. It was their greatest strength and the reason they had survived countless threats, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. They weren't supposed to fight back when the Krevlaxians came, or when the dimensional tier opened on the moon, or when the Dominion appeared in orbit. But they did anyway, and they won. That was the thing about humans that the rest of the galaxy was slowly, painfully learning. Underestimate them at your peril. They might look primitive,